How do we do this? Hey everybody, it's Mike Pingel, Collector's Haven, and guess what? Scooby-Doo, where are you? We have Wendy Brydge here with her huge, I was going to say Charlie's Angels, that's me, with Scooby-Doo collectibles. Wendy, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
I am excited to see your collection. You sent me some photos before, and he's so cute.
Isn't he?
He's so adorable. What got you into collecting Scooby-Doo?
That's a really good question that I'm not sure I have a great answer for. I know I started around the time that I was 4 or 5. My dad confirmed that. By the time I was 4 or 5, I really loved Scooby, and I don't remember the first episode I saw. I do know that I grew up primarily with what they would call maybe the 3rd season. So in 1969, we started with Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? It made 2 seasons. That's your classic Scooby-Doo.
Perfect.
72, they had the new Scooby-Doo movies, which had like the celebrity guest stars, which I'm not a huge fan of it, but I don't mind it. It still got all the original voice actors, and it was fun, you know. But then in 76, they started with what some people call season 3 of Where Are You, but it's the Scooby-Doo show. And that is my favorite, my absolute favorite season. I love it. It's still got enough of, there's no question, the very first season it's peak Scooby-Doo. It's creepy. It's genuinely spooky. There's not, it's got humor, but it's not over the top. And it's got kind of that, this might sound strange, but I've noticed over the years watching the different series that just visually looking at the color palette, it's a little bit different. And when you look at the 69 version, everything is just slightly, to me anyway, I'm a painter, I'm an artist, that's my day job. So maybe I'm just seeing stuff that is not really there, but it's just like slightly muted, the colors. They're just not as vibrant as something from the later, with Scrappy in the 80s, or even when it really started in 76 with the Scooby-Doo show. So it still had that creepiness with really kind of scary, well-done villains, but it was starting to get more technicolor. It was just getting like a little bit more, and so to me that, like, I grew up with that, and I honestly grew up with Scrappy. So I love Scrappy-Doo. Scrappy does not deserve all of the hate that he gets. I want to go on record saying that. I love Scrappy. I love Scrappy. There's nothing wrong with Scrappy.
Do they make a lot of collectibles on Scrappy?
There's quite a few. There's not as many as I would like. I'm always, always, always looking for them. I did wear my 2 favorite pins. Now, one is, what is vintage? I mean, for the purposes of this video, let's just say 90s and before, and anything after that is not. So okay. I have this little tiny character Scrappy pin.
There he is. Oh, yes.
Now, this one is something new. I got it from a seller on Etsy, but it says, "Don't worry, be Scrappy."
Oh, wow. Let me see the first one.
I just thought that would be appropriate.
No, this is
the first one?
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yes. I just made a full screen so everyone can see it. Oh, yes. Oh, you're so cute.
Isn't he cute? I mean, I'll tell you the truth. I don't want to take up too much time talking about it, but just quickly, I think I know the reason that a lot of people don't like it. The first season of Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo, Scrappy was voiced by Lenny Weinrib. And while I mean, the second episode of that series is like in my top 3 Scooby-Doo shows of all time.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a problem with him. However, after the first season, Don Messick, who does Scooby's voice, took over the role of Scrappy. And it didn't just change the sound of Scrappy's voice, which Lenny's voice was definitely, it had that kind of grating. It was a little bit annoying kind of thing. When Don Messick took over, though, it wasn't just a softer voice. He changed the attitude of the character.
Okay.
I don't think that Scrappy was ever meant to be something that demeaned Scooby. And that's kind of how Lenny's Scrappy came off, because he was very aggressive. He was just different. And when Don Messick took over, I mean, I would challenge anybody that's never seen Scooby to skip the first season with Scrappy, and if they only knew him as Don Messick played him, I really don't think they could hate him.
Oh.
Because he toned it down and made it so that Scrappy's whole purpose is just to say to Scooby, you're amazing, you're braver than you think, and I love you. And how can you hate that? I don't really understand how.
I don't know either. You can't. But you can't hate your collection. How many items do you have in your collection?
Honestly, I have no idea. I'm going to assume that there's definitely over 1,000.
Nice.
The number would be slightly skewed though, because I'm primarily like an out-of-box collector because I like older things.
Okay.
So you don't always have the option to have it in its package. And the truth is, some things just look better in the package and some things look better out of them.
Yes.
So for instance, last year I was able to pick up these little guys. There's 5 of them in total, and they have a hole in the bottom, but they're too small for a pencil. So I don't know what kind of a topper they were for.
Oh my goodness.
But
so cute.
there's no date on them either, but I would guess 80s for these. They're just like a little vinyl figure.
Oh my goodness. And there's like a pack of Scoobies. Different
Yeah,
colors.
so I mean, I would count them. I would say that's 3 things in my collection, when if someone had them still in a wrapper, it would be 1 thing.
True. Very true.
So
and I'm seeing a lot of Scooby stuff, is a lot of plush. They made a lot of plush of Scooby.
Yes, there's lots of plush. They actually did make some, like even now, they do make some nice Scooby merchandise. I do prefer the vintage stuff. But yeah, they have all kinds of things. There's little, this is more.
Oh, is that a ballad
late
thing kind of going on?
It's a little
there?
that says I love you. I think it should say I rub you though. I think
that's true. I
more
think
appropriate.
they should have called you on that.
Yes.
What is your most prized possession around you? What is the one thing that you adore?
This is my 1980. I'll see if I'll try not to make too much shaking.
Okay. Getting close, guys. We're getting closer.
We'll get close. This might be my first item. There's a second thing that I'm not sure which came first, but they definitely came around the same time. But this is a 1980 Mighty Star Toys Scooby-Doo. They made a number of different sizes. Mine is the largest size. This is the 44-inch one. And when I was 4 or 5 years old, when I got him, I mean, it was almost as big as me. It was like a life-size Scooby. And he is my most prized possession. We were visiting family down south. We lived quite far north in Ontario. Okay. And so every summer we would go to see my uncle and aunt, and they lived down by Toronto, which is a good 6 hours away from where we lived. And they had this huge flea market. And flea markets in Canada are not what they used to be, unfortunately. I've found that they're just not. They don't have the same stuff, and it's more expensive, and it's just not as fun as what I remember when I was little. And I spotted that giant Scooby. I saw him, and I wanted it very, very badly. And my dad always says that was the day that he taught me how to haggle. Ooh. Because I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure he was $30. This would be back either 1990 or 91. It wasn't cheap. And the seller that had him, his whole booth was just like really large plush toys. But he was the only Scooby. And I asked my dad, please, can we get him? Scooby was hard to find back then, especially up here. He's like, well, I'll tell you what, if you go and ask the man if he'll do some kind of deal for you, then I'll make you the deal that I'll get it for you. And I recall this a little bit different, so I don't want to make myself a liar, so I will just say I'm not sure which way it was. I was sure that I couldn't do it, that I could not work up the nerve to go and ask the man anything. That was my recollection, that my dad just finally went and bought it for me, and I got him. My dad says, though, that we walked around for a while, and eventually I did ask to be taken back to the booth, and that I did go over and haggle with the man. And I was really happy that, you know, he said $25, and my dad said, well, but did you offer him 20? Which I didn't, and he let it go though. We paid the $25, but he's like, that was how you learned how to haggle that day. But never settle on the first price that they give you. So he is my prized possession. If my house was burning down, I would probably try and grab him.
First off, don't ever say that. And second, yes, I understand. I understand. So what you said there was a second one that you might be the first thing what was the second thing?
That is this hardcover book. It's dated 1990, and they made a number. They've also had a Flintstones, Yogi Bear, some different ones. So it's just basically 3 stories. It's got these beautiful illustrations.
Oh, beautiful.
This, of course, you may recall, is from one of the very first episodes.
Yes.
And it is the story, just very condensed. They've changed it up a little bit, but it's just basically this oversized book. And I'm positive that it's either the book or the Giant Scooby was my very first Scooby-Doo collectible.
They're both amazing.
Maybe they came at the same time.
Those are both amazing things. Okay, so in your collection, what is the weirdest thing you have? Like wackiest, weirdest thing? Is there something like that?
I'm gonna say yes, but maybe not the kind of wacky that you're thinking. But it's actually a fairly new. This is fairly new. In 2002, a company called Trevco made blown glass Scooby-Doo Christmas ornaments.
Oh, I don't think that's weird at all.
But let me tell you why it's weird. Now, I did test this, so I'm pretty sure you will. If I get it the angle right, you'll be able to see on my phone. I got this on eBay, and when I opened my mailbox, there was an envelope waiting.
Okay.
And inside of the envelope, let me just see if I can get it to. Come on. Is it doing it? Oh, I got it to do. I was testing this last night, but it's all smashed to pieces.
What? I can see. I can see the.
There we go.
Yes.
Okay.
I can see the pieces. I was trying to figure out what it was.
Yes. So that is how my ornament came, but I have the world's best dad who literally can fix anything, and there he is.
Oh, he did not put it back together.
There he is. Yes. And half of it was missing, which is why I think that the seller broke it before they sent it to me and then maybe wanted to make a claim or something on it. But there was only enough pieces to put together most of the front. And then we glued it back together. My dad filled it with plaster of Paris.
Your dad's
and then isn't he? And then I was like, well, just leave it white because it's supposed to be like a wintry Christmas scene. It had a little bit of white on the bottom. I'm like, I'll cover it in glitter. Glitter fixes everything.
It does.
And if I hadn't told you that it had been all smashed up, would you have known?
No.
So, I think I don't really have anything that's weird or unusual, but to me, I think the story of how my little miracle Christmas ornament might just fit the bill.
That's amazing. Is there something that you're looking for for your collection? Something that you saw as a kid that you're looking for, or something that you're like, that's what I want? There's
definitely a lot of them, but I think that at this point, what I would most love if someone said, pick whatever you want, the 1973, the metal lunchbox.
Ooh.
Yeah, and to be honest, there are quite a few of them. I've been watching on eBay and stuff, and quite a few of them come up, but they came in a yellow version and an orange version. It had the same pictures on it, only the box itself was a different color and the thermos was a different color. And usually you see the yellow ones, and of course I want the orange one I don't know why. I see them and the orange one looks better to me. So that's like mine. That's right about at the top of the list, tied with the Imperial Toy Company in 1977. They made a series of 3 push puppets.
Okay.
And they did Scooby, Scooby-Dum, and Scooby-Dee. And I love Scooby-Dee. Scooby-Dee was in 1 episode out of all of the Scooby series. Chiller Diller movie thriller from my favorite Scooby-Doo show. And as far as I'm aware, that is the only Scooby-Dee collectible apart from, and this is not a real one, I made this myself just so I would have it for display. She was the number one card in the Scooby-Doo deck of war cards.
Oh, nice.
So it's a toss-up between the Scooby-Dee push puppet and the lunchbox at this point. I would really like.
And how much do those both kind of go for? Do you know the pricing of
the
them?
lunchbox, I mean, I'll have to be careful too, because obviously in Canada, it is much more expensive to buy anything. You're talking at least a minimum of $30 shipping on top of whatever you buy on eBay from American sellers or Canadian sellers.
Yes, I know.
And then the exchange on it. But I think you'd be hard pressed to get the lunchbox anywhere for under $50.
Okay.
For me to get it, $100 to $150. So that's why it's not even that I would mind necessarily paying that much. I will admit I have paid up for a couple of things in the last few years that maybe weren't worth that much, but I did pay them. But if I'm gonna pay that much for the lunchbox, I'm gonna hold out for one that's orange and one that's in pretty decent shape, because some of them they're pretty rotten. There's a lot of rust on them. So if you're gonna spend that much money, you better not. But
absolutely. I totally understand, because even the ones in my collection are worth hundreds of dollars now. It's crazy. Where do you find the most collectibles? Do you still go to thrift shops? Do you find eBay's the best place? What do you find?
Primarily now it's eBay. When I was younger, and where I actually got a lot of what I would consider like my really nice stuff. Maybe that's just because it was when I was younger and I was just getting started, so it has sentimental value too. Flea markets was a big one. Thrift stores, there's not a lot of them in the north, especially there isn't. I'm not even sure that there's one in my town. If there is, I've never been in it. So it was always just if we went south to visit somebody, or now I have a friend who lives about 3 hours south of me, and I'll go and spend the weekend, and there are thrift stores there where she lives.
Yeah.
And so we do find some stuff there. But yeah, eBay really is your best bet. But Etsy's a good one too. Etsy is if you know how to look for stuff. I always tell people, because they're like, how do you find like certain things? And I say, well, be careful with your search terms, because just because you know what something is doesn't mean that the seller does.
Yeah.
So you could get, you type in Scooby-Doo, but there are collectibles out there that are Scooby, but the person hasn't put Scooby-Doo in the listing. So unless you broaden what you're looking for, you might not find all that's there. But eBay primarily, and Etsy is quite good as well, but there's nothing like finding something in the wild. If you're at a thrift store, right? There just isn't, that excitement where you're digging through, a little bin, and there's that little brown dog. There's Scooby.
Oh no, is it Scooby? Scooby-Doo, where are you?
And it's like $3.
Oh,
I'm gonna buy it.
It's $1.
In fact, it's not $100.
What did I ask you this question? What's the most expensive item in your collection?
No, it's a toss-up, and I'm gonna cite two of them only because I guess technically anything that I have that Scooby could be considered a collectible.
Yeah.
But to me, one of them is not collectible; it's just a thing, and the other is an actual collectible. So the top prize does go to last year's special edition Blu-ray box set of the complete series, which I don't even have a Blu-ray player.
What?
But it's a really cool package. They did a really nice job, I have to admit. They did an awesome job on it. It came with like the miniature pop figure, and he's got the little sandwich,
Oh, I love it.
It was cute. So this cost me $120 by the time everything was said and done, which was a lot. But to be honest, if anybody's thinking about buying that, it came with a digital download that has all of the episodes of season 1 and 2, all but one. And nobody else has said this to me. I've asked other people and nobody's really said, but the digital is missing one of the episodes from the original series. I have no idea why. And I was kind of mad because I thought $120 and you're going to jip me one of the episodes, you know? Apparently it's on the disc, but it's not in the digital. But to be honest, it was worth it just to get the digital download as well. It has been really nice to just be able to like pull up YouTube and go under your purchases, and you can watch all of them. You know, I love Scooby, so I am someone, if I'm tweeting about something and I want to pull a picture from an episode, it's nice to not have to get out my discs and put them in my computer and do it like that. So it was definitely worth it. But as far as collectibles go,
yes,
this one, he was a little bit less than the one I'm going to show you, but this guy, I'll tell you straight up though, I'm not positive that he's an original.
oh,
I want to believe that he is, but he is in such pristine condition that I would not feel comfortable telling somebody, you know, hand on the Bible, this is an original 1970. What is it called? Sutton and Sons. Still has his really nice little tag, you know, and it's in such good condition that I don't know. I've seen them looking pretty ratty.
yeah,
And maybe he's like what they call new old stock, where there was a store and they didn't sell them all and he's been sitting in a box. I mean, it's possible.
it is possible, yes.
I wouldn't swear to it, but he was a Christmas gift and he was almost $100. He was a lot, but I literally begged for him. I told my dad, I was like, if you want to get me, you don't have to get me anything for my birthday. If you just get me this for Christmas, I will be forever grateful. It's all that I want, you know, and I did end up getting him, and I really love him.
We love your dad. We love your dad.
This was one of my holy grail items, which I was super excited to finally find. Let's see if I can get a good angle of it. Where is it? Too close. Where? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where my camera is. Goodness.
Oh, that's good.
We'll pull it out then a little bit.
Are we talking a phone?
Yes. In 2000, they made this talking animated telephone. Can you see the whole thing in the frame there now?
Yes, I think yes.
Are we getting?
Yes, now we can.
Okay, shall I do the demo?
Yes,
We'll
please.
listen?
Please, please,
Okay.
please. Oh my.
It must be a goose, but it sounds like a phone call. Roll, 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 roll. It's only a phone call.
Oh.
I mean, it's pretty cool, right?
That is
Isn't
amazing.
it?
So that would happen every time the phone rings?
Yes, you can set it. It does have different settings on it, so that if you only want it to ring and you use it as an actual phone, you can set it to do that. Or you can have it do that every time the phone rings, or it has the demo mode where you don't even need it to be plugged in. It just needs some batteries and you can press the button. But that one, yeah, it was about $100. I think it was $105. It was only $50, but with all of the stuff that got tacked onto it for me to get it, it was $105, but it was worth it for me. I have looked for years and years, and yes, this is going to turn into a video about how great my dad is, but the seller told me that it was working completely, and usually they're broken. Maybe the sound works, but the heads don't turn anymore. You know, the animation part is something's wrong with it.
Yeah.
The seller told me that it worked, and then when I got it here, and I tried it, it mostly worked. Scooby's head didn't turn.
Oh no.
Now both Scooby and Shaggy supposed to turn together, so I was a little bit upset, but my dad's like, it's fine, I'll just take it apart. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I want you to take it apart. You know, maybe you won't be able to, you know, you might make it worse. And he just gives me this look like, are you serious? Like, this is me we're talking about. And so it took him like, I don't know, maybe 25 minutes, and he pulled it apart. And of course it's all these little like pulleys with elastic, and obviously it's now 20 years old, so the elastic, it breaks, you know, or somebody gets too aggressive and they move the head manually. He MacGyvered it, and it worked, and it works now, and I'm happy. So
wow,
dad saves the day
again. And you were questioning him at this point? Oh, I don't know.
I know, at this point, like, what, there's just nothing left to say.
Have you met any of the people involved with this series?
No.
You haven't?
No, I've never And unfortunately now I think that the only voice actor that's still alive from the original series, I think, is Frank Welker, who did Freddy and still does Freddy in the series.
Oh wow.
I think that all the actors have passed away now. I don't have any autographs either, which was not something that I was interested in until fairly recently, where I thought, like, oh, that would be neat. I saw, and I did message a seller the other day on eBay, and he had a poster that was supposedly signed by Iwao Takamoto, who was the creator
Oh wow.
of Scooby. And it was pretty cheap as far as the item was concerned. It was like almost double that for the shipping, which is why I was like, well, do you have a, certificate of authenticity? Do you have a picture of him signing it? Do you have any proof? Like, I'm not saying you're lying, but I would just like to know. And he said it was real, but it was just a little bit too much. And while that would be a really cool item to have, a signature, I like the stuff better, to be honest. But no, I've never met anybody that was involved with it, unfortunately.
Let's look at a couple things. You sent me a photo. So there's little mini. Are those Funko ones over there?
Here? Can you? No.
Oh,
where were you talking about?
It was over there by the Funko. The little baby ones, but
these little guys.
Oh, well, look at those too. We didn't see these.
So these are from France. I took 10 years of French in school and I still can't speak it. So anybody who's French, I apologize. Fève is what they're called, I think. Fève figures, and they're these little tiny glass figures. There's a lot of them. But I got these 4 because they were sort of Halloween-like. So the skeleton and the ghost. Boy, I'm having a hard time figuring out where my camera is.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
And I like the little Frankenstein.
Oh my goodness, those are adorable. Do you have a lot of stuff from Europe?
There's a couple of things, not really a lot, and then the Little Witch.
Was Scooby-Doo big in Europe, in anywhere, or was it just mostly America?
I feel like it probably had its fandom, but I doubt that it was as big as what it was in North America. Yeah. Australia has quite a bit of stuff. The one thing that is probably my favorite, if I had to be like, what is my absolute favorite type of Scooby memorabilia to collect? I love amusement park.
Okay, yeah.
Amusement park Scooby-Doo stuff. I don't know why this pennant here is from Canada's Wonderland. Canada's Wonderland especially is like near and dear to my heart. That kind of stuff I will snap up in an instant. It's from 1987. But they also had a similar place in Australia. So this is Sydney Wonderland, so an Australian version of Canada's Wonderland, an amusement park. So this is just, what is it dated even? 1998. So it's even an older one, but just a little keychain.
That's adorable.
And Australia also had, I don't quite understand, I've only recently gotten a number of vintage comic books.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that I had growing, like I had regular, like the newer comic books growing up and stuff. But the vintage ones, I've only recently gotten some. And they actually they took the same cover and the same stories from some of the Gold Key in America, and they just repurposed them for the Australian market, and they're technically a completely different series, which I do have a couple of those. If we'll slink down here, I'll try to do like a little pan while I go over there, okay?
Oh, good. Okay. So your collection, where do you hold your collection?
This is literally my closet.
Okay, great.
So most women like lots of clothing, and I just have lots of Scooby stuff. Because Scooby is forever and clothes are not.
I love it.
But here's one. This is one of the Australian versions.
Nice.
That I was able to pick up. Which, like I say, if you go and you look at the North American releases and stuff, they it's the same cover, but it's got a slightly different
tail
in the corner and stuff. They're the same ones, but I was happy to get a variant. Let's call it that. Okay, so I'm still looking for You mean here? Are these the Funkos that you meant?
Or
you were looking for those little
I
guys?
think they were on the shelf. They were on the
They
shelf.
were on the shelf. Okay,
I think they're
let
little
me see
Funkos.
if I can like
Those
not
little
block
baby
the
ones
light.
right
Now.
there. Those little baby ones.
Okay. Try
So,
not to block too much of the light for you. So these colorful ones or the little wee guys?
the colorful
Or
ones,
both?
I think, or both. Let's look at them both.
These actually came from Russia. Chupa Chups make those. There's too much light here. Let me see if I can find a better spot to show you. They make those lollipops.
Oh yeah,
Things like that. And so they're just these little. It's just like a little plastic figure, but I thought they were really cute.
They're so cute.
They were super cute, and they had the whole set. So Daphne and Freddie.
Nice.
Shaggy, he's even got his little goatee, which makes him really cute.
So cute.
And Velma.
I love her glasses.
And then there were two different versions of Scooby. So one where he's standing, and one where this one where he's like standing up on his back legs, and this one where he's like a little dog. But,
Oh, those are priceless. Those are priceless.
yeah.
Feel free to send them to
Those
me.
came from Russia. And the others were just. I've actually never been able to get the Monopoly game cheap enough to afford to have it shipped here, and it never came to stores here when it was brand new. So I did get, these are just the tokens from it, which to be honest I was fine with because I'd rather have just something cute to display.
Oh my God, they're
Than leave them in a
adorable.
box. And Shaggy.
Oh my goodness.
Velma.
Velma. These are amazing.
I did eventually get the board.
Okay.
I got the
almost
board
there.
and I'm almost there. We're almost there.
You're almost there. Well, this has been amazing. Thank you for. We could sit here all day looking at all your collectibles.
I know.
It'll be a 9-hour show, though. So, where can people, if they have something in their collection, they want to send it to you, or they want to talk to you? Where can people talk to you? Where your social media is? Where's your art so people can check you out?
Mm-hmm. The easiest thing to do, because I'm on most platforms. I don't use Facebook, but I'm on Twitter. I'm at Wendy Loves Jesus, and you can pretty much find me if you Google Wendy Loves Jesus. Almost all of my stuff should come up because I do try to keep consistent with that username.
Okay.
So on Twitter, I'm very active. I'm on there every day posting things. I post Scooby things. I post pop culture, anything that I really, really like. It's my personal page. If you enjoy reading things or seeing lots of pictures, my blog is wendylovesjesus.wordpress.com, and it's called Secret of Truth. And I do a lot of things over there, including feature certain things in my collection, including really cool little items like this, which there is a post devoted to that, which you'll have to go and look at because
absolutely,
technically, this is the Scooby-Dee push puppet, only not white and not made by Imperial Toy Company. So she was my little mystery item that is very, very special and still a bit of a mystery from Hungary.
Oh,
and
there you go.
And the reason that I tell people be careful when broaden your search terms, because when I found this, it was some title like, Hungarian 1970s toy Great Dane. It didn't say anything about Scooby, but I scrolled past that, and that face, I knew exactly that it came from that mold, and I was getting it. And it was under $20 shipped to me, so that was a win.
Those are wins. Those are the days that you're like, you know what? I'm happy to be a collector, and now it's in my. Now it has a good home.
Yes.
Now it has a good home.
Yes. And also on the blog is probably the best place if you want to just look at the paintings that I do. I'm a commission artist, so I am always open for business. Commission meaning that I don't usually do a bunch of things and then try and sell them. People come to me with specific requests for things. I do specialize in wildlife painting. but I do a little bit of everything, including my favorite, which is still life portraits, which is my kind of fun and modern take on a traditional portrait, only it's not your face. It's me telling the story of you through objects that either represent you or that you enjoy or that have special meaning to you, and finding ways to put into paint things that are intangible, feelings, things like that. And I really love to do those, and I've done quite a few of them. You can see those on my blog, or you could follow me on Instagram, where I do step-by-step of all my paintings. Instagram is just, it's Wendy Brydge, and it's Bridge with a Y, Brydge. And that is where I do only related to my job, pretty much. So things that I make, including sometimes things for Scooby. My little tiki witch doctor didn't come. He was missing his staff, so I made him a staff with a barbecue skewer and a little bit of clay. And I know I'm taking up too much time, but
No, not at all.
My friend Megan, who enables my collecting, and I love her to pieces for it,
I love those.
found me this 2002 Gumball Machine, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, I'm gonna make Scooby snacks for in it. So I sculpted 50 of these little clay Scooby snacks specifically for that collectible. They're based on the shape of the Scooby snacks from a pup named Scooby-Doo, because there is no definitive look for Scooby snacks, changed over the years, you know, but I really like the shape of those, so I made 50 of them.
I love it. You find it, you make it.
That's right.
You would accept an orange lunchbox or a Monopoly game, folks. Wendy is taking, if you have Scooby, she will give Scooby a home. Give Scooby a home.
You will have a very good home here, but no one has to send
Reach
anything.
out to our social medias. Reach out. If you have it, you know. Oh, what's that?
Sorry.
Oh my goodness, what's that?
My dad surprised me this morning at 6:30 in the morning, and he's like, I know you're doing that interview today, so do you want, you know, he bought me this for my birthday, which is not until August, but he let me open it today, and it is a vintage romper room clock, which is still in its package. It's amazing, and I learned something interesting. Usually you don't see them in the package, and the sticker is dated 1976. So whenever you see them listed on eBay, they're listed as an item from 76. But now that I have the package is dated 1979.
Wow.
So obviously they must have made them for a couple of years. But I mean, I'm a stickler for details and getting things right. So, but I love this clock.
You're just in your mystery machine getting all the clues, aren't you? You're just uncovering them.
I am.
Eating your Scooby treats and finding out of the information. I love it. I love it. Wendy, thank you. This has been
thank you for having me.
Pleasure. And thank you. I want to go watch Scooby-Doo now.
I know. You should. Why not? Why not?
Of course, I watched the Scooby-Doo with the Harlem Globetrotters because I did PR for them many years ago. So.
Very nice. That's awesome.
That's the only one I own on DVD here. Well, thank you so much for showing us your collection. Good luck with everything. And
thank you.
Amazing. Amazing. I love
thank you so much.
Love these. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on the show. God bless, guys. Bye.
Have a good Scooby Day. Bye.
Thank you. You too.